Hi, welcome to Fostering Resilience. I'm Dr. KJ Foster. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 strategies to help you to maintain long-term sobriety. And just to give you a bit of background information about me, just in case this is your very first time clicking on one of my videos, I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. I hold a PhD in counselor education. I've been working in the field of mental health counseling for over 13 years. A majority of that time, 10-ish years, I've spent working in the field of addiction recovery. I have a variety of certifications: addiction recovery, mindfulness meditation, trauma. I specialize in OCD and other anxiety-related disorders as well. So I have a vast knowledge when it comes to mental health counseling. But one of the things that I think is beneficial, the fact that I have successfully recovered from an addiction to alcohol. I have achieved long-term sobriety from my addiction to alcohol. My sobriety date is July 20th, 2008. So I am approaching my 16-year sober anniversary. And although that certainly qualifies me to help individuals in the role as a mentor, as someone who can give someone advice on what worked for me and what may work for you, for them, there's my experience and knowledge that I have working with individuals and families, hundreds, if not thousands of individuals at this point. And so I think that that gives me a unique qualification in that I am very knowledgeable and skilled in treating these types of disorders, and I've also experienced and recovered from it myself. So there you have it. That's a little bit about me. So let's go ahead and jump into those 10 strategies that will help you to achieve long-term recovery success. So before I jump into strategy number 1, I'd just like to point out that these strategies and different approaches to long-term recovery success can be tailored and need to be tailored to the individual's needs. And I'll share a little bit more about that as we go through these 10 strategies. Number 1, build a strong support network. I say strong support network because your support network needs to be more than just 1 or 2 people. So certainly your support network can include family, friends, and a specific support group like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery, LifeRing, Dharma. There are a number of recovery programs out there, so you have a lot of options, and this is where this needs to be tailored to you and your needs, because some people, 12-step recovery does not work for them. Other people, absolutely it works for them. So tailoring the support group to meet your needs, your specific needs, and also remembering that family members and friends don't necessarily equate to a healthy support system. It just depends on those family members and those friends. There are certain family members and friends that you may need to disconnect from in order for you to maintain your sobriety, maintain your recovery. So that's very much tailored to the individual as well. So just making sure that you are surrounded by individuals that are going to help to give you the strength and support you need to maintain successful sobriety. Strategy number 2, engage in professional therapy, whether that's individual therapy, group therapy, or both. By engaging in therapy, you're going to be able to learn and identify and address underlying issues that may be driving your addiction. You're also going to learn effective coping strategies to help you to be able to move through those triggers. So for me, I can tell you that this made all the difference in the world. I had attempted to get sober for over 5 years, and it wasn't until I began to engage in individual therapy and started to identify and address those causes and conditions that were driving my drinking, that I was finally able to achieve successful recovery. Strategy number 3, adopting a healthy lifestyle. And you may say to yourself, well, by not drinking and or using drugs, I'm adopting a healthy lifestyle. But that's not exactly what I mean. I mean being good to yourself in other ways other than just not drinking and or drugging. And I say just, and I don't mean it in a minimizing way. I mean that there are other things that you can do lifestyle-wise that are going to help to strengthen your recovery. And that means eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, and things like that. So being good to yourself in other ways. There's this expression that I believe comes from NA, Narcotics Anonymous, which really resonates with me, even though drugs were not necessarily a part of my issue, although I did engage in some drug use. It wasn't the problem. The alcohol was certainly the problem. And when I was able to stop that, I stopped everything else as well. That's another thing, right? Adopting a healthy lifestyle means you don't just put down one of the substances that is harmful to you. You put down all of them. And so there's this expression in NA, and it goes, you can't live dirty and expect to stay clean. Which means that it's not just about putting down the drink and or the drugs, that there are other changes that need to occur. And one of those being to adopt a healthy lifestyle in as many ways as you possibly can. So being good to yourself. I truly believe that when we truly love ourselves, we will not put a drink or a harmful drug into our bodies. And that took me a long time to get to that place of recognizing and understanding that if I truly love myself, I'm going to be for myself. I'm going to be good to myself. And the way that I'm good to myself is not just through not drinking and or drugging, but it's being good to myself in all of these other ways as well, like exercising, eating healthy, and maintaining a healthy sleep routine. Strategy number 4, mindfulness and meditation. I say mindfulness and meditation because mindfulness, although it can be meditative, is not a meditation, even though it's commonly categorized as meditation, and there are mindfulness meditations, but mindfulness in and of itself can be done anywhere. You can practice mindfulness when you're folding the laundry or doing the dishes. You can practice mindfulness virtually at any time throughout the day. Really, the practice is all about being in the present moment, being aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations without judgment in the present moment, which means that mindfulness meditation does not always produce relaxation. That's not the goal. The goal is to learn how to be able to be more present with your thoughts, feelings, and body sensations, because what will happen over time when you practice doing that is it slows down that whole process of thought, feeling, action so that you are able to respond differently when you are feeling stressed or agitated. I can tell you that practicing mindfulness, in particular, mindfulness, was a complete game changer for me in terms of emotional regulation. And emotional dysregulation was a huge trigger for me in terms of my drinking. So it really made a tremendous difference for me and my recovery. But it may be that meditation works better for you, that maybe it's the clearing of the thoughts and the relaxation. I would suggest trying both and trying different variations of meditation even. There are so many different forms. There's silent meditation, there's guided meditation, there's music meditation, and really finding what works best for you. Strategy number 5. Strategy number 5 is to avoid triggers. Do not put yourself right in the middle of a high-risk situation if you can help it. I mean, there are some circumstances where we just cannot help it, like we have to be in a certain situation that is going to be difficult for our sobriety. And this is where picturing it like a minefield, like you're going out into a minefield. If you go out into a minefield and you do not take the time to identify where the mines are and navigate around those mines, the likelihood that you're going to step on one of those mines and blow up your recovery is a lot higher. So kind of getting in front of it, right? Getting in front of the trigger before it even happens by identifying it, avoiding it if at all possible. And if you can't avoid it, then developing strategies so that when you're in that high risk situation, you have protection. You have your support group. You have a plan of what you're going to do should XYZ happen. It's all about getting in front of the trigger. So identify and avoid triggers. Strategy number 6 is to set goals. And those goals do not have to be huge goals. It's better if they are smaller, achievable goals. This is why approaching recovery one day at a time, even for me, sometimes it was 1 hour at a time, sometimes it was, 1 minute at a time, is much more effective than if you're imagining a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from friends in the community or from people in treatment, what am I going to do when my daughter or my son gets married? How am I going to attend the wedding and not drink? And things like that, where you're thinking down the road, what's going to happen 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And by doing that, by living your life way out here, it puts so much more stress, so much unnecessary stress. For me, I really needed to, many times throughout my sobriety, to be reminded of where my feet are in this moment. Like, where are you right now? What do you need to focus on right now in this moment? And worry about tomorrow, specifically when it comes to your sobriety. If you're craving, if you're struggling, just don't drink or drug today and worry about tomorrow. So that's what I mean by setting goals for yourself, but making them small and achievable and baby steps, right? The process of recovery is not a linear process. It's not like we just continue to move forward. It's a process of 1 step forward, 2 steps backward, 5 steps forward, 1 step backward. It's constantly readjusting to our circumstances, our situation, and how we're feeling in the moment. Strategy number 7, education and self-reflection. Continuously educate yourself about addiction and recovery, and engage in self-reflection to better understand your needs and areas for improvement. Number 8, hobbies and interests. So engaging in whether it's a new hobby or an old hobby, and a new interest or an old interest, because I can tell you that with me, I had many interests that sort of fell by the wayside when I was at my very worst. One of them being running and exercising and taking care of myself in ways that I had done for years, but was really letting that go. I started to incorporate that into my routine on a more regular basis. But there also may be new interests and hobbies that you'd like to take up that you never considered before, because whatever it is, keeping you busy and distracted and engaged, and also giving you a sense of purpose. So anything that you can do that has the ability to provide positive experiences, positive thoughts, positive emotions, is going to help you to gain strength in your recovery process. Number 9, accountability. Being accountable to a friend, a family member, a sponsor, a therapist even, is going to give you more of a chance for success. Quite frankly, I believe the more people you tell, the better. By telling people, you are protecting yourself. You are letting people know that you are committed to this healthy lifestyle, that you are choosing not to drink or use drugs, and that will make people more aware so that you're not putting yourself in a circumstance where somebody might just offer you a drink. Because if you're known to drink and then you go into a situation or a circumstance where people don't know that you're committed to not drinking, they don't need to know the details. They don't need to know the whole story. It's quite reasonable just to say to people, I am committed to not drinking. I am committed to living this healthy lifestyle. This is the choice I've made for myself, period, the end. I know it sounds, right? Sounds easy, but I know that in practice, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, especially if people know that you've struggled with drinking or you've struggled with your drug use. You're still going to strengthen your recovery and your likelihood for success the more people who know that you are committed to living this healthy lifestyle. And finally, strategy number 10 is to develop a relapse prevention plan, which means that you have outlined exactly what you are going to do to minimize the impact of the relapse and get back on track. That doesn't mean, just because we're planning for something, doesn't mean it's going to occur. I refer to relapse prevention plans like hurricane plans. So I live in Florida. We have a lot of hurricanes here in Florida. And when there's a risk of a hurricane, we prepare. We prepare for the hurricane. Doesn't mean the hurricane's going to hit, but should it hit, we are prepared with what we're going to do, the precautions we take, and what we will do should the hurricane strike. So very similar to that, a relapse prevention plan is just writing down exactly what you're going to do, what you're committed to doing to minimizing the impact of the relapse and getting yourself back on track. And I suggest that you share that plan with your loved ones. You share it with whoever the closest people to you are so that everyone knows what the plan is should you relapse. And then put it away, put it in a drawer somewhere, and just keep moving forward with your recovery. So that's it for today's video. I hope you found this information beneficial because implementing these strategies will significantly enhance the chances of maintaining long-term sobriety. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you again in the next video.